Hello, and welcome to R&R's Ask the Expert. I'm your host, Valerie King, R&R's editor-in-chief, and I am joined today by Garret Gray, founder and CEO of Next Gear Solutions, which is a market leader, you may be familiar with, in digital workflow platforms and solutions for the restoration industry. Many are probably familiar with their Dash business and job management software. It's one of many solutions NextGear offers, and it enables real-time digital documentation, which simplifies the process of creating jobs, tracking equipment, uploading photos, speaking notes into a job file, and a number of other things. So, we are here, as you may have guessed, to talk about what many consider big news for the restoration industry. So, here it is. CoreLogic, a leading global property information, analytics, and data-enabled solutions provider, has acquired NextGear Solutions. So, as we record this conversation, the news of the acquisition, official as of September 15th, is just a day old. It is September 16th. So, for more background, RIA President Mark Springer called this a very major event. Ed Cross, restoration attorney and RIA's official contractor advocate representing the RIA Advocacy and Government Affairs Committee, called this a very hot issue, and he's been getting inundated with questions about it. So, just to set the stage for how big this is or may be for the industry. All right, without further ado, we're here to dive into the details. I'm so grateful to have you, Garret, to tell us more about the whys, the whats, and the hows of this from the perspective of Next Gear Solutions. Who better than you? Really, what it all means for restoration contractors from your perspective as the leader of the company making this sale. So, thank you so much for joining me, Garret.
Oh, you're welcome. I'm really excited to be here.
Appreciate it. Okay. So, for those who aren't so familiar and need a reminder, can you just start by sharing a little bit about the history of Next Gear Solutions, your role with the company as founder and CEO, and like when it started, how it served the restoration industry up until now, that kind of thing?
Yeah, so really, 17 years ago, I joined this space, so the insurance restoration space, by joining a small company in Los Angeles. And I just remember walking in and really seeing some pandemonium in the office with people running around looking for paper files all over the place. And you kind of like, if I could set the stage for the scene that I walked into, you had adjusters, calling, looking for just basic information about a particular loss, and people putting the adjuster on hold and running all around the office looking for the actual paper file so they could, read, to the adjuster what the notes were, or to, get a piece of information for the adjuster. And I just remember thinking, gosh, there's got to be a better way to do this. If I was going to go get more business for this particular restoration contractor, like how would they handle it? And that really just sparked this journey for me of how to take the business of restoration, the pieces of how we take information from the field and get it to the back office and get it to all the different stakeholders and make it digital and streamlined and remove all of the redundancies and the difficulties that people had to deal with. And it was a journey that started and had lots of iterations over the years, and culminated in a set of applications that really, in my opinion, has really changed a lot of how our industry works, and is hopefully brought a lot of value.
Thank you for that background. And it really is amazing to think about how things have advanced. Really, 17 years flies by. And that
The
scenario, it's
technology
like, I,
the technology is crazy. Like the change in technology, everything that like our phones can do today that have replaced manual processes. It's hardware and the internet and the ability to digitize has really changed how restoration operates. And NextGear has really had I think a role in helping our industry take that leap forward.
Very good. Okay, so the next layer here, for those who aren't familiar, how would you, and in summary, characterize the role of CoreLogic up until now in the restoration world? Hint to all: CoreLogic is the parent company of Symbility, which is an estimating platform. But take it from here, Garret.
Yeah, I think it's important to understand like the vast scale of CoreLogic as an organization and the access they have to data that maybe at first glance isn't applicable to people, but really is and can be in exciting ways. So think about if you've bought a home recently, that probably was supported by a CoreLogic workflow. If your realtor was on the MLS, CoreLogic was somewhere behind there, filling in the details of that property. And so to be able to understand every property, every parcel in our country, and what is the history of that property, how has it been affected by different claims, CoreLogic really already has and has had that data in some really unique and amazing ways. Things that we have not yet brought to bear in its full capacity in the restoration space, but CoreLogic itself is just a big player and is a gold standard in data that affects our industry with property and weather. And what I'm most excited about, and why you'll see all this energy from me, and all of the just the optimism around what we can do, is because that data and our applications brought together is going to absolutely change the way this industry is able to operate in ways that will drive value both for contractors and carriers, so that everybody wins in this process. And I just couldn't be more thrilled to be a part of the team that is going to be bringing those things together.
Thank you, Garrett, and for the energy. And that's actually, I think, a perfect segue to my next question, the big fundamental question, um, the news that brings us here. Why is Next Gear Solutions selling 17 years later? And why are you selling to CoreLogic? Why and why now?
Look, we have as a team, and that team started out very small and has grown to over 250 people over the last 13 plus years. Have really been passionate about changing and challenging the status quo. Our status quo originally was paper. We were fighting the paper monster and trying to really, drag an industry into a digital age. And so, today we feel like we've really got a handle of the paper monster, and we still fight it in different corners, but the status quo is different. And look, this industry has been looking for more competition, more innovation, and a whole host of things that NextGear has really tried to be a part of. But you understand the limits of your own organization, and so you've got to figure out how do you partner and collaborate with others in the space to bring value that is greater than the sum of its parts. And that's what this really is at CoreLogic and for NextGear, is how do we take the sum of our parts, create something bigger and better than we could have ever done on our own. And if you were able to sit in on the meetings that we've been having over the last 48 hours with these teams, there is so much optimism and excitement around how you take what these two super teams have been doing, standing apart, and bring them together. And to really, talk about, what CoreLogic's history of data in the property and weather space, the fact that they bought Symbility just a short, couple years ago, and you take that claims platform and marry it with NextGear's claims platforms and restoration management tools, and our digital processes and our auditing, and all of the scoping and workflow automation that we do, and connect it to the pipe of data analytics that CoreLogic has. It's just when you see what that all can mean, it really is unlimited in terms of the value that we can bring to bear to the whole market. And so, we had all these dreams to do all these things on our own, and we just knew that we needed the scale of something bigger. And so, as a business owner and an entrepreneur, you have to figure out how do you do that. And there's lots of different ways. And my assessment was this was the best place to take and trust the asset that I think NextGear has become to our industry. And what I'm really excited about is that not only am I entrusting the asset, this passion of my life that I've been working on for so many years, with I think the best company to take it and be a custodian of it, but I'm excited that they want me to still be on the ride and get to be a part of the team that leads the future for CoreLogic in the insurance claims space. And I know I've talked for a long time here, but I want to say one more thing that's I think really important. The level of investment that CoreLogic is ready to invest into our space, into the insurance space, insurance is extremely important from the top down at CoreLogic, and there is really no limit to what we are going to invest to bring really innovative and exciting products to our customers here. And I just am excited to be a part of it.
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate that super comprehensive answer. It's super nice to have the context of who's bringing what in your perspective to together as you fuse and integrate. And I want to just get really clear on that. Like if you were at a dinner party talking to someone who honestly doesn't know much about restoration, what's going on to a family member who's like, "What's this acquisition about?" I guess how would you sum up what you see CoreLogic is bringing to this partnership? Like its high level strengths, and then what next year's high level strengths are, just in a nutshell.
Yeah, so CoreLogic has scale, right? And in order to accomplish the things that we want to accomplish at next year, we needed scale. So CoreLogic has scale, investment, resources. They have incredible insights into property and weather, and geospatial and underwriting, and then you take what they acquired with Symbility and the Estimatics platform and the claim workflow, and then you marry that together with what NextGear brings, which is, essentially, if you could almost describe perfectly two things that don't really have a lot of overlap, but would fit and marry perfectly together to create the most comprehensive platform for claims management in the insurance space today, that bridges the gap between carriers and contractors. Like that's what you would do. Like if you were just writing a script over what are the two things that you could bring together to make this kind of magical combination that doesn't have a lot of overlap. We're not sitting here looking across the table between our teams going, who's going to stay and who's going to go.
Uh,
There is a lot of just overlap, or excuse me, there's a lot of just combination obviousness, right? Where it's really clear where people fit and how you can join two really high performing teams together to get outsized outcomes for everybody.
awesome. Thank you for that description. It's interesting to hear that complementary relationship, and yeah, what you're hinting at a question I'm going to get at later about what this means organizationally for the employees. So, on to that kind of theme, like what's changing, a little deeper into what's changing. Uh, I I'm sure many are asking specifically, what does this mean if I'm a Next Gear Solutions customer in the restoration today? Like, what
Yeah.
changes can I anticipate?
Yeah, I think the answer day one is none, right? The nothing changes in terms of how customers communicate with us. They're not getting some new contact. We've got to we got to bring these teams together and figure out like how to streamline how we work with our customers in ways that only bring more value because of the sheer scale and size of our organization now. But there's really no immediate impact. I will tell you though that we are getting to work fast to figure out how to bring the impact that we expect in terms of how do we leverage weather data, et cetera. But there's no immediate impact to either formerly NextGear employees who are now all CoreLogic team members, or to the customers as well.
Awesome. So one of the biggest changes is the in my title, if I worked for Next Gear, it's now going to
Yeah,
say, you know, specialist CoreLogic. That's one of the most
yeah,
notable changes in this moment, at least.
sure.
Okay.
Yeah, no, yeah. Look, I said if you could have been a fly on the wall when I announced this to our team, I said very clearly, we've done multiple acquisitions in this space. I know you're a little new to our environment, but
Yes.
Next Year has done 5 acquisitions in less than 5 years, and so we are, we understand how you do these sorts of mergers well. And so one of the things we understood is the quicker you get to one company, one purpose, one mission, the better. And so we said to everybody, look, we've had other companies come and join the Next Gear banner, and that was great. They did a great job doing that. And today we're joining the CoreLogic banner, and we're all now part of the CoreLogic team. And so look, I think a lot of times these acquisitions go off the rails when you can't get to one team, and that's not going to happen here. Both of our teams are going to work well together, already are working well together, and so our customers shouldn't expect a bunch of infighting or a bunch of disorganization that could cause disruption. That's not happening, and I guarantee won't happen.
Thank you so much. Okay, so we talked about customers specifically. Like broadly speaking, people are like, what is this going to mean for restoration as an industry? This is a big deal. This is big news. Through that
Yeah.
lens, a little more abstract, high level, like what in your opinion or what in your hope does this mean for restoration contractors overall now and into the future? Like visionary speaking.
Yeah, look, I think one of the things that I've been listening to a lot of the pop up analysis that's been happening, which has been really fun to listen to. And there is a theme that has been popping up that I absolutely agree with, which is what this does for our industry is it creates a better competitive landscape for software providers in our space and technology providers. And just fundamentally, if you think about anything in your life where you have to buy a service or a product from someone where there is no competition, let's say your utility player or your cable, it doesn't work well, and you always kind of sit there hoping there was more competition. And so competition is something that it improves the service for all involved. And so I would look at this as something that really just changes the competitive landscape in a way that everyone, carriers and contractors, will benefit from. Look, CoreLogic is going to have to earn the business, from people. We don't. There's this combination doesn't give us some sort of magical wand to anybody's business. We are going to have to now double down and earn business at all levels of our organization, and others are going to have to do the same thing. And so if you look at this space as can use more innovation, and with more resources coming from CoreLogic, our intent is to innovate and to be more competitive and to drive more value for all of our customers. And I think what you'll see is others doing the same thing. And so if I were to step back and look at this as as a third party, someone not associated with one of the big players now in the space, I would be excited to see, gosh, what's going to come? Like, what are the tools I've always thought should be here? Guess what? They'll probably start to show up, because now everyone's going to be racing to earn your business. And when that happens, that's great for customers.
Thank you for that. Layer on, I want to layer onto that a more tangible, concrete perspective on like if I'm a restoration contractor going to work tomorrow and I've been a Next Gear customer, maybe not immediately tomorrow, but like what is your idea of how this is going to change my day to day while I'm in the field or while I'm at the office trying to optimize my business operations, trying to optimize the actual work I'm doing as a restorer, like these tools we speak of, this software. What are some examples or some ideas in terms of my day-to-day impact its day-to-day impact for the contractors?
Yeah, like again, I think there is no initial day-to-day impact, and so I think that should be very clear. There's really nothing that will change for our customers tomorrow, and I think what we should think about is long-term impact in terms of what additional innovation can CoreLogic bring, and what dots can it uniquely connect for contractors and for carriers and others in the ecosystem, because there's a lot of other people that we serve. And I think we have tons of ideas. I would love to share them all with you now, but I have reasons to wait. But I think if you really look at the data assets that CoreLogic has in weather and property, and you look at how we can marry those things together in very unique ways, there's just a ton of excitement that people should have around how we can change the way they operate. Think about how we can autofill. I'll give you one example.
Okay.
Autofill property details that people had to hand enter before. Autofill things around atmospherics and weather that we have access to that people had to hand enter. And everything about what we have been striving to do at NextGear over the last 13 years is to automate things that really weigh people down from being focused on people. If you break down what everyone in this space does, is we're here for policyholders and people at kind of the lowest time sometimes in their life, where their property or their business has just experienced a loss, and all of us are swarming to make that better. And we've always looked at our role as making it easier for those people out in the field to do their job so they can focus on people. And so, we have to look at the property data and the weather data and all the things that we now have to bear to make it easier for those stakeholders to do their jobs so they can really focus on the people that are in front of them that are needing to be restored back to pre-loss condition.
Thank you. Okay, now, of course, I have to ask about you talked about the competitive landscape. I'm sure this may tie in the estimating landscape
Yeah.
in the restoration industry. CoreLogic, you've alluded to this several times. CoreLogic prides itself on increasing the accuracy of estimating data. We all know this is a super important topic for restoration contractors. Pricing is a widely shared challenge area. Many restoration contractors struggle with being paid fairly for the work they do. So, can you share your perspective on the significance of this acquisition through that lens, the lens of fair, accurate pricing?
Yeah, look, I think, fair, accurate pricing comes down to really good scoping. And, a lot of what NextGear has been working on is how to automate the scoping process to make it more accurate on the front end so that you get a better a view of, what the ultimate cost should be to restore property. And so really, I think, the what NextGear has been focused on will really benefit the CoreLogic and stability teams as well as we bring that process further up the chain and make it easier all the way from the first moment of loss when somebody arrives on site and starts gathering information to start documenting that loss. And so a lot of what we have focused on is getting to an easier way for people to document the loss and then automatically start building the estimate in the background. And so, I think I am early days into, getting into this, combination. And so I'm sure there's a lot of feedback that is going to come my way around pricing. And guess what? We're so open to it. We want to hear it and we want to understand everyone's perspective. I think we've got a good idea of how to take scoping, make it easier and make the pricing piece just follow naturally.
Thank you so much. Okay, so if I'm in here I go again with this. We're going to be real clear on the what's changing and not. So if I'm an existing Next Year Solutions customer, um, so if I'm an existing Next Gear Solutions customer or maybe even a prospect or I'm just trying to explore,
Sure.
where do I go? Do I go to the existing website? I see you have CoreLogic branding behind you in your background. Like, what's the brand situation? It sounds like you're going to be called CoreLogic. So can you clarify for us how you talked about like contact? Where do I go? How do I learn more?
Yeah.
All of that.
Yeah, look, so we're going to continue to make sure the market is aware of all of our movements. Next year's brand does not, go away right the second. But let's just be clear: we are CoreLogic, and so the Next Gear brand should be fading away over time as we can just make it easy for customers to know where to go. As far as I'm concerned, this is now all CoreLogic, and we just need to make sure that customers know how to find us when they need support, et cetera. So that there's a transition that we'll have to do there. But day one, you can go everywhere that you go to for support today. It's all built into our applications. Our website is there. Our phone numbers still work. They're not going away until we have a really good plan to make that migration easy for customers. And look, support and our customer focus on communication and making sure our customers just understand everything they need to do to roll out on our products and to be compliant with what they need to do to run their businesses and to work with carriers, that's so important, and we don't want anybody to have confusion about who to work with. And so I think I'm glad you're asking the question, because the message is go to the same channels you went to yesterday or the day before, and we will continue to message for you, where you should be going as those things do change.
Very good. Proceed as usual unless until you hear otherwise.
That's right. And we will be very communicative. Like, we will make sure that everyone understands, where to go. We're not just going to flip a switch and all of a sudden you can't find the next year website and you don't know where to go and you're just hunting around the internet. So we're going to make sure that we do this in a really well organized way so that our customers have no anxiety around how they continue to get the best support I think that the industry can offer.
Awesome. Okay. So now I'm going to follow up on something you alluded to earlier, which is, right, like questions you anticipate, questions you may already getting, maybe already are getting. So what are some of the key questions that you are anticipating from the restoration industry? and their answers. Of course, not the full list, but if you could just give us a snippet of that, like an FAQ preview, if you will.
I think you've done a great job already asking a lot of them. Look, I think we've heard concern around data, right? I think data and data privacy has been a huge question mark just in our society in general. I gave the example the other day that I'm a poor speller. If you've ever communicated with me in writing, you would know that. And so I do a lot of asking Siri how to spell things.
Love
And I'm
it.
sure, I'm sure there's a profile of me somewhere at Apple that this guy cannot spell. And so I think that big data is something that scares people in general, and that's makes total sense. I get it. I think where we are focused is how do we actually use data to drive more value for people, and so we are very clear that that all of the data ownership of our clients remains intact, that nothing's changing there. CoreLogic and NextGear have pure alignment there. We didn't find any sort of misalignment, and so I just don't think this is a real a real valid concern. People are valid in their feelings, but me personally, as somebody who's entrusting NextGear into this new large organization, I'm not concerned about it having negative impacts. I think really I'm more excited about the positive impacts of being able to pull what CoreLogic already has in terms of data assets and actually bring it into the restoration process and driving better outcomes for everybody. But I understand the concern, and so it's something that we can talk more about as the months and weeks come on. So that's one question I've heard, and I think the answer is just data is something that is a way that we can drive more value, not the other way around. Other questions around our team, like what's happening with our team. I know that people love both teams, and so they're concerned what's going to happen to both teams. And when we were walking through the exercise of CoreLogic's overall desire to invest in the space, I think it's important to understand that this was not one of those synergy plays where you buy a company and figure out how to axe half the people. So that's really great for us from a strategy perspective, because like I said earlier, we're not sitting across the table going, who's staying, who's going. We needed more people on both sides, and so now we have it, and there wasn't a lot of overlap that's going to cause any problems. And so now it's just getting together as a team to go take on big challenges. So if anyone's wondering what's happening to these two teams, I think everyone can rest assured that these teams are in it to win it, and no one is walking out the door. Those are the main things that I've heard. If you've heard other things, I'm happy to address anything, but those are the two, besides what you've already addressed, those are the two big questions.
No, thanks. I was super curious what was coming through your channels. I'm sure your email inbox is
Oh
not
yeah.
empty and you're not
I,
bored.
I got woke up really early yesterday with my phone blowing up. So yes,
Oh man. Okay, so you noted in your statement yesterday that there will be more to come in this exciting news. Stay tuned. So, you've talked about that, right? It's the goal is to keep moving forward, to keep innovating. Anything else to add to that, or did you capture that earlier?
I think I've captured as much as I'm going to capture or willing to reveal right now. I think that you're good. I know you're trying to get me to let my guard down and give you some more info here. All I can say is it's all exciting and it's all great. Like of course there's going to be challenges, there's going to be bumps in the road, but really the what we think we can accomplish with these two teams and the scale and the data that CoreLogic has is really just inspiring. Like the bags under my eyes are not just because I have not slept because we're trying to wrap up a transaction, but my mind goes crazy at night with all the things that we could be doing and should be doing. And to, when you build a company with nothing, meaning we had no investment in the beginning, we bootstrapped this from the very beginning. Like we had basically zero help. And we had to just create something out of nothing. And guess what? Most of our restoration contractors know exactly what I'm talking about because they did the exact same thing. And so think about having that level of passion, but having the resources of CoreLogic. So if we can accomplish what NextGear accomplished with essentially, only our bootstraps. Like now take this team and give them another super team to work with on the CoreLogic side and the scales and resources. I just there's more to come. Stay tuned because it's going to be really exciting.
All right, well, stay tuned. No, really, thank you for that. Okay, so, um, from your perspective, this is like the most basic question ever. It's all throughout here and everybody's talking about it. But to ask you, how significant is this development for the restoration industry now and into the future? Just how significant is it? Everybody says it's significant. Is it? How do you feel about that?
I mean, I don't know. Like, I can't think of something that is more significant or could be more significant. I mean, obviously, that like I'm in the middle of it, so it's the most significant thing in my life. That might be different for others, but I think it's significant, and I think it really tracks back to the level of investment that CoreLogic wants to spend in this space. CoreLogic is a mortgage powerhouse. Everyone knows that. Like the scale that they have on that side of the fence is unparalleled. Um, in insurance, like we have a lot of assets, and we are absolutely looking to invest even more. And so there is a huge desire here from the top down to just really continue to innovate in insurance, and that's why I'm so excited to be a part of it. So having that level of investment in our space coming from somebody who already has such a scale and might is really significant, and it's also significant because it's going to spur on other investments, right? And so it's not just what we're doing, but the ripple effects that will come out of yesterday's decision is something that will be positive, pro-competitive, and create new options for all people in our space to have better options and drive better outcomes.
Very good. Okay, so I promise this is my second to last question. Everybody will be
Okay.
able to, get a drink. Well, if you're listening to the podcast, you could be doing anything, laundry, driving, but us.
My drink's down here. You just can't see it.
My coffee cup is empty, but to be filled. Okay, so second to last question, like I said, as a human, how does it feel as the founder of this company? You said started from nothing, been through 5 acquisitions. Is that right? Is this the fifth or the
Yeah,
sixth?
right, right. Well, we acquired
Or well,
5 companies, and now we have been acquired. So this is my sixth process.
wow. Okay. So, how does it feel, this whole journey, when you reflect on it, to be embarking on such a milestone and selling it? And you are, to your point of ripple effects, right? Ripple effects for an entire industry. Like, there's just a lot going on here in terms of impact and influence and just elevating over the years for you as an individual, an entrepreneur. So, like, how do you feel? What's going through your head and your heart right now?
You know what? If you're trying to have your Oprah moment and make me cry,
But really,
look, look, I, I feel an immense amount of gratitude. I feel gratitude to the team that has stood with me for 13 years. Many people at Nextgear have been there for a very long time, and even if they haven't been there for a long time, the amount of work that they've put in and whatever time they've been here, it translates into 5x what the amount of time should be. And so like, we just have an incredible group of people who have been so passionate and have really wanted to take on big challenges and make big things happen. And when you work in that environment for 13 years, it's so infectious and impactful to your life, especially as the person who they're all going to work to stand with, right? And it's humbling, and it's been an amazing experience for 13 years, and it's been an amazing experience, just reflecting on the last several days of knowing this transaction was happening, just because people have put their faith in each other and have accomplished something huge. Like we like I said, we created this out of nothing, and so no matter what, like the people at Nextgear that created what is now joining with CoreLogic are very proud of what we created. And one of the things that when I say my team, it's not just our employees. We had customers who had so much faith in us. I mean, carriers, top 10 carriers that were backing us when we were nothing, and working with us and putting their trust in us and their faith in us. And we had contractors and contractor groups who trusted us with their data and their workflows and how they run their business. And that level of trust and partnership it's emotional to think about when you realize that it really materialized into something so special. And I've been saying a lot that it was magical because it really, you took all of the different founders that make up Nextgear. I mean, you're talking to me. I'm one of multiple founders that make up this company. I'm just one small piece. And it was this puzzle of just, you take one piece away, Nextgear is not what it is. And so, I'm very reflective right now. Sorry, I'm probably rambling,
No,
but
please.
it's a really special time for those of us to kind of both, reflect on, what we've done, and at the same time be so excited for what we're about to do. And so, it's a special time for me and for our entire team.
Thank you for that. I appreciate it. So, related but unrelated to what we're even here to talk about. So this whole time I'm thinking, as I'm getting to know you, people who are listening may or may not know. Yes, I'm the editor of R&R, but it's been 2 months. I'm brand new, so forgive me for
Welcome.
me and Garrett just met. Um, but
Yeah.
I don't know if you're familiar with the podcast How I Built This, hosted by Guy Raz. I want to say it's an NPR podcast, but the point is, it's like key people who founded some of the craziest companies, and they're like, "Here is how it happened." Like you're giving me those vibes. So thinking through like this whole acquisition experience, you've seen it 5 times from one side acquiring, once now from being acquired, by the way, from a pretty considerably, huge company. Um, what is your advice in an industry? So I know you're on the solutions provider side. You are not a restoration contractor, but an industry that is consolidating on that end, and there's a ton of acquisition going on every day. What is your advice from both perspectives to restoration business owners who are either being acquired or considering it, or considering acquiring? Like, what are your tips? I know you talked about like having one purpose earlier, but I'm just curious.
Yeah, I think, that if the question is like, how do you do mergers and acquisitions in the best way possible?
Yeah,
I,
just
I
like
I definitely have
tips.
some strong perspectives here. I think the first thing is, on both sides, like, ego cannot play a part. Like, you know, it, and we ask other founders to do this when they join Nextgear. We ask them to be Nextgear, and so that's why we very quickly said to CoreLogic, hey, we're now CoreLogic. And so you can't have the ego of what name, what brand did I come about. You got to get to one company, you got to get to one purpose, and you got to do it fast. And speed is the next thing. Organizational clarity, getting to hard topics fast, giving people, not every, there's no way you get through these things without having people have different perspectives. You've had two companies, just figure out how to run with completely different perspectives, and now you got to merge those. And sometimes speed is the best way to handle that, because you just don't want things sitting out there and people like having rumors, and you just want people to feel comfortable and get to the right answers quickly. Pride of authorship, like, who does it better? I don't, if we have some overlap and yours is better than mine, great. Let's get to the best thing. Like, it doesn't matter who built it or whose process it was, what's best. And so I think if you're customer focused throughout the whole process, if you're employee focused throughout the whole process, you set aside ego, and you make decisions to get clarity fast, and just get to one company, one purpose, then everything else takes care of itself.
Wow, well spoken. I think that is literally the bow tie to this interview, and it wasn't planned. That worked out very well. So,
Well,
yes,
great.
I think that's literally the perfect note to end on. So, thank you again so much for your deep time and insight, Garrett, and huge congratulations to you and the Next formerly Next now CoreLogic team.
That's right. That's right. Thank you so much. This was a great interview. Appreciate it.
Yes, thank you. Okay, so before we go, I always ask this question. Before we go, where can listeners go to learn more about what CoreLogic through the lens of the restoration industry is doing. Should they, I'm assuming right now it's go to next year's website, but what is the URL? Just, yeah.
Yeah, so you can go to nextgearsolutions.com. You can go to CoreLogic.com. We are, very visible online. Follow us on Facebook and LinkedIn and Instagram. We're on all the social media sites. We will be pushing out more and more information to all those platforms. Like I said, we will be absolutely communicative through the communicate. Wow, we're going to communicate a lot through this process, and yeah, we'll use all resources that we can to get that information out.
Very good. This has been such a comprehensive interview. Can't thank you enough for your time in the midst of organized chaos, of positive chaos.
We're having fun. We're having
Yes,
fun.
yes. So huge deal. Thank you again,
Yeah.
listeners and viewers, for your time. I almost said for your time. Listeners and viewers, for more insights on restoration, remediation, and the people behind it all, visit our website, randrmagonline.com, Apple or Spotify. If you haven't yet, please be sure to follow the podcast to keep up with our latest episodes. And if you could give us a quick review and rating, we'd super appreciate it. We're also, just like Garret mentioned, we're also on LinkedIn, Twitter, and Facebook, so we invite you to follow us there too. This has been R&R's Ask the Expert. Thank you for listening, and keep questions coming on this developing situation, because as we hear, there is more news to come. Again, thanks for listening. Talk next time.